Imagine this, you're alive, you're breathing, you can feel. But every single morning you wake up inside a cramped wooden coffin. No light. No breath of fresh air. No sense of time. The darkness is so thick, you can't even see your own hands. You don't know what time it is. What day it is. Or even who you are. This was the reality of 20-year-old Colleen Stan. For 7 long years, she lived locked inside a box the size of a coffin. And the most terrifying part? Sometimes, the door to that box opened. She stepped outside. She even visited her parents' home. But she never tried to escape. Because she believed that if she spoke a single word, her family would be killed. What Colleen went through feels absolutely unthinkable. Today I'll tell you about a case still considered one of the darkest in the history of criminology. The story of Cameron Hooker, the man who kidnapped Colleen Stan and held her captive not for weeks, not for months, but for 7 entire years. Cameron Hooker was born on November 5, 1953, in Alturas, California, to Harold and Marna. Little is known about his childhood. His father often changed jobs, and the family moved constantly. As a teenager, Cameron became obsessed with porn magazines. His fantasies grew darker, centered not on love or passion, but on violence. What aroused him most was control without consent. In 1972, after finishing high school, Cameron got a job at a lumber mill. And that's when he decided to turn fantasy into reality. He was 19 when he met Janice. She was only 15. She became his first, chosen one. At first, he seemed attentive and caring. He gave her gifts. Made her feel valued, something she had never experienced before. For Janice, it looked like real love. But even on their very first date, he forced her into his twisted games. He took her into the woods, stripped her, tied her to a tree, and beat her. That was only the beginning. Their relationship lasted for years. After every act of violence, Cameron turned gentle again. This constant contrast kept Janice by his side. He regularly took her into the forest, tortured her, locked her in handcuffs, even hung her from trees. In January 1975, he asked her parents for permission to marry her. And surprisingly, they agreed. After the wedding, nothing changed. His fantasies continued. But in truth, they were pure torture. In 1976, after a year of marriage, Janice said, "Enough." She wanted a child, and demanded he stop the abuse. Cameron agreed, but only on one condition. He wanted a sexual slave. A girl he could kidnap, lock away, and use without consent. Because it was the lack of consent that excited him the most. And the most horrifying part? Janice agreed. She set just one condition: he couldn't have full sexual relations with the slave. As if everything else could somehow be justified. At that moment, she crossed the line. Yes, Janice was a victim too. But from then on, she became a willing accomplice. After this agreement, Cameron got to work. He built. He crafted. He turned his basement into a torture chamber. He installed beams for hanging. Built a special table to restrain a body. But the most horrifying creation was something else. A wooden box. Locked tight. Almost the size of a coffin. That box would soon become the cage for his next victim. While Cameron prepared the basement, he tested everything on Janice. Yes, even when she was pregnant. He dragged his wife downstairs, tied her up, tested ropes, beams, and locks on her body. Janice was his test dummy when she should have been protected. And during this time, their daughter was born. After the baby's birth, Cameron decided the moment had come. It was time to make his plan real. He began searching for a slave. He watched women on the streets. Followed them. Even took their photos. On May 19, 1977, Cameron, Janice, and their newborn daughter sat in the car. That's the day he saw her. 20-year-old Colleen Stan. She was standing by the road, her hand raised, hoping for a ride. That same day, back in Riverside, one of her friends was celebrating a birthday. Colleen wanted to surprise her, to show up in person. But there was a problem. From Eugene to Riverside, it was nearly 1,000 kilometers. That morning, Colleen walked outside, got into her car, and it wouldn't start. Her plans, her gift, her mood, all hanging in the air. So she made a choice, hitchhiking. Yes, it sounds dangerous now. But in the 70s, hitchhiking was a common way for young people to travel. Colleen had done it before. She trusted her instincts. The trip went smoothly at first. Truck drivers gave her rides from Eugene to Red Bluff. There, she stepped out again with her backpack. Several cars stopped. But something always felt off. One was full of loud men, she refused. Another just didn't feel safe. Then a third car pulled over. Inside was a young couple, with a baby. The woman smiled. They looked about Colleen's age. An ordinary family. Everything seemed safe. Hop in, we'll give you a ride, they offered. It was Cameron and Janice. Colleen didn't know. And she climbed into the back seat. At first, everything seemed fine. But soon, she noticed something. Cameron kept glancing at her in the rearview mirror. Again, and again. His stare was too intense. Too persistent. She tried to calm herself. Maybe I'm just overreacting. During the drive, they stopped at a gas station. Colleen went to the restroom. And there, she felt it. That deep, primal fear. A voice inside her screamed, "Run. Don't look back." But she ignored it. She walked back to the car. When she climbed into the back seat, she noticed something strange. Beside her was a large wooden box. She was sure it hadn't been there before. She felt uneasy, but told herself not to panic. It's just a box. A few minutes later, Cameron spoke. We'd like to stop by the ice caves. You don't mind, do you? Colleen was far from anyone, trapped in a stranger's car. She could have asked them to stop. She could have said no. But instead, she whispered, all right. He turned off the highway onto a dirt road. Within minutes, there wasn't a soul around. The car stopped. Janice stepped out with the baby. Then Cameron. Colleen was left alone. The door opened, and cold steel pressed against her skin. A knife, at her throat. From now on, you'll do everything I say, he whispered. Terror became reality. They blindfolded her. And then Cameron brought out the box. They called it the head box. He had built it himself, heavy, with hinges, and a tight hole for the neck. Inside, it was lined with carpet. Not for comfort, but to muffle screams. Even if Colleen cried at the top of her lungs, no one outside would hear. The box came down over her head. The locks clicked shut. Total darkness. It weighed nearly 20 pounds. She was forced to lie down on the back seat. Janice returned with the baby. The car rolled on, toward Red Bluff. They waited until dusk before taking her inside. Only at night, when no neighbors could see. Cameron carried the prisoner into the house. The box came off. A blindfold replaced it. And then, the basement. Everything was ready. He placed Colleen on a wooden crate. Her wrists chained to the beam above. Then he picked up scissors, and cut her clothes away. Colleen was left completely naked. In that instant, Cameron kicked the crate from under her feet. She hung suspended in the air. Her screams echoed. Her body trembled in terror. That's exactly what he wanted. He beat her, punishing her for fighting back, punishing her for screaming, trying to break her completely. When she fell silent, he left the room. But he returned, with Janice. And what happened next defies imagination. While Colleen hung there in chains, in the dark basement, Cameron and Janice had sex right beneath her. This wasn't just violence. It was humiliation. The complete destruction of her identity. After hours of torture, Colleen was left hanging. Later, Cameron returned. He put the head box back on, and carried her upstairs. But not to freedom. Instead, he placed her inside something else. Another creation. A narrow wooden coffin he had spent months building. The inside was lined with soundproof material. The space was so small, Colleen couldn't stretch her arms or legs. Heat. Stifling air. Absolute darkness. In the summer, temperatures inside rose to over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It wasn't just a prison. It was a chamber of sensory deprivation, designed to break the mind. And even here, the box stayed on her head. Breathing was almost impossible. Cameron shut the lid and left her there, all night. She didn't know yet that from now on, she would spend nearly the entire day inside this coffin. 22, sometimes 23 hours only released for a single hour a sip of water a tiny portion of food. Even the bathroom was forbidden Inside the box, there was only a bucket She had to use it while lying still still chained still with the head box on. Conditions unbearable for even minutes became her daily reality. From the very first day, Cameron made it clear that any attempt to resist would end in disaster. If you scream, I'll cut your vocal cords. I've done it before, he warned. And after everything she had already endured, Colleen believed him. Without a single doubt. That's how the first weeks passed. 23 hours a day inside the wooden box. No light. No fresh air. Meanwhile, in Riverside, her family began to worry. A neighbor from Oregon called them. We don't know where Colleen is. She left, and never came back. At first, her parents didn't panic. Maybe she stayed longer at a friend's house. It was the 70s, no cell phones. But when the calls kept coming, panic grew. Her parents got in the car and drove toward Westwood, California. They stopped in every town. Showed her photo. Walked into police stations. No one had seen her. Dark thoughts began to form. Maybe their daughter had died. Or joined some kind of cult. In California at the time, that seemed all too real. The flower children, Manson, strange sex filling the headlines. But in the hooker's basement, a different routine was unfolding. Above ground, a normal family. Cameron went to work. Janice cared for the baby. Below, Colleen, trapped in a box, tortured daily. After work, Cameron went downstairs. What he did there is hard to imagine. He photographed everything. Every detail. To relive it later. Over time, he built something new, a device like a medieval stretching rack. Metal frames held the arms and legs. The body could be stretched to its limits. Electrodes could be attached.
This became part of Colleen's daily torment. Within the first month, she lost more than 20 pounds. No surprise. Almost no food. Limited water. And barely enough air to breathe. For the first time, she was allowed to bathe only in August, nearly 4 months after being kidnapped. Amid daily torture, that might sound small. But imagine, an entire summer locked in a suffocating box, using a bucket under her body, without once being able to wash. Through all this time, spring, summer, and part of fall 1977, she lived in darkness. Inside the coffin-like box. With the head box still on. In November, the routine shifted. No, it didn't get easier. It simply changed. Now Colleen was sometimes let out, to clean the house. But the condition was humiliating. She had to be completely naked. Her schedule was brutal. Out of the box. Cleaning. Torture. Back in the box. By January 1978, after 8 months in captivity, Cameron removed her blindfold for the first time. Until then, she had seen nothing. Not the room. Not even her own coffin. Absolute sensory deprivation. To him, she was no longer a person. She was an object. On January 25, Cameron revealed his secret. He claimed he was working for a powerful organization called the Company. According to him, it was a network of judges, businessmen, even police, who kept women as slaves for pleasure and profit. He insisted that the company watched everything. They had technology. They tracked every move. And if anyone tried to escape, not only would the woman die, but her family would be killed too. After 9 months of fear and darkness, it was almost impossible not to believe him. Soon, he brought out a contract. The document stated that Cameron, signing as Michael Powers, his fake company name, was granted full control over Colleen's body, her thoughts, her soul, even her property. She, in turn, agreed to obey every command. It also declared, from now on, her name is only K. No full name. No identity. And she signed. Because she believed that if she refused, her family, and she herself would be killed. The contract carried 3 signatures: Cameron's, Colleen Stan, and Janice's, as a witness. In February 1978, Janice lifted her last restriction. If before, she had insisted that Cameron not have sexual relations with the captive, now she gave permission. From that moment, everything became even worse. To the beatings, the isolation, the humiliation, Cameron added regular sexual assaults. For Colleen, a new level of hell began. Her life became a routine of torment. Torture, housework, most of the day inside the box, daily rapes and humiliations. This was Colleen Stan's life, years of isolation, torture, and absolute control. And yet, this was only the beginning. Don't miss what comes next. Part 2 of this terrifying story will be released tomorrow. Subscribe so you won't miss it.